What's up, guys? It's Bastian here coming at you with another Dragon Ball CCG deck profile. And of course, as you will have guessed from the title of this video, today we are looking at a Saiyan build. Now, I have really wanted to utilize some of those alien Saiyans that you get in the game, your Broly, your Bardock, but the main reason, the top end of this deck is to look at, of course, bringing out these bad boys. These Vegetas are super underrated, and of course you can see that he's right here on this mat too. Hence why the mat selection for today's video. So let's jump into this stuff then. Been playing a lot of CCG recently, thank goodness, and just trying to get the hype going. So let's start with the characters. Surprise, surprise, we go into three of the set one Kid Gokus into the deck with. Just immediately gives us a Saiyan that we can work with, and of course, stats wise, it is only rivaled by Zunama when it comes to turn zero warriors. The most straightforward pairing is King Cold. King Cold will allow us to do our usual stuff with getting the turn 2 Frieza out. I can't stress how important that can be for playing this game, is to be able to set up your hand as much as you can early on, and King Cold will give you that. And of course, it wouldn't be a deck, especially not an alien deck, if we didn't have 2 copies of Old Kai. Every time I play a deck that doesn't have Old Kai in it, I sorely miss it. I really, really miss it. And yeah, it's just a no-brainer. It's just so important to have it in the deck. So that's it for our turn zeros. As usual, I run the 8 turn 0 setup. That tends to be my preferred style. Of course, you can mix and match this however you like to run your own deck. But we move immediately on to turn 1, and we have 3 copies of Ghost Nappa. Keep calling it Ghost Nappa with that backup ability. Of course, if he does get discarded, warriors always go to the Chi, and you can just replay Nappa from there, and actually giving you a really good value engine with that -1/-1 token that he does when he enters play. On top of that, being a 4010 is really strong. I said this before, it's only really Nappa and the other, the set 5 Yajirobe that have these high stats without any other buffs or anything else going on. So if you miss your lead warriors in turn 0, if you don't get a King Cole or you don't get a Goku, but you do get an Old Kai and a Nappa, you can actually end up having a very, very formidable team power of 6 by turn 1 just by dropping this Nappa. And you're probably going to be able to also utilize that -1/-1 coin. So early game, you could say that this Nappa is a pseudo 5 power warrior. I absolutely love this card. Fantastic card. Such a great card. I just wish we had a Reddit as well that would, of course, accompany this Nappa, because the set 1 Reddits we got is, well, it's not very good. Not as a set. No, not as a turn 1 cost warrior anyway. So anyway, moving on to turn 2. Surprise, surprise. Here we are. We have the set 1 Super Rare Frieza. Guys, this card is absolutely amazing. You get this guy out with your Nappa, and you immediately have a team power of 7. But if you have a Dragon Ball on Frieza, you can make this Nappa a 5 power warrior. And also remember that you probably have placed a -1/-1 coin, so this team can actually be 8, with of course your opponent having a -1/-1 coin on potentially one of the warriors that will come up defending against this team. So extremely strong. This is where we get into the real big bad boys territory. 2 copies of Broly. I don't run this card as much as it should be ran. I totally understand that, but it's a difficult one for me. Usually, my Turn 3 plays are support, and you will see that here as well, that we do have some support here in turn 3. But Broly is very good with that Fierce 1. It's a 6-0, 4-0. It doesn't cost you any chi to play him. Potentially a 7-0 or 5-0. But you kind of have to set up really well. If you don't have the chi, he must be sent out to attack, to defend, unless you can pay that alien chi, and that makes it, Broly will very likely going to be blocking one of your opponent's attacking teams and maybe just, be taken out in that process, unless you're prepared for it. And that's of course what we're doing in this deck, with supplying as much support as we can for these beefy lead warriors to have enough team power, enough support power in the teams as well. So Broly's not necessarily going to run into something that's just going to take him off the board. Mind you, he does have toughness. If nothing else, then outstanding victories will immediately take him down. Now, this was a difficult choice, really, to go with the set for Earth Trunks. Ultimately, I ended up going with this guy because he's a straight up 4-3, so obviously he's going to be a support warrior. He does come down in turn 3, no questions asked. You don't need to have anything else going on if you use the set 5 Trunks. He's only really going to be good as a head warrior. We got enough of those. And because we were already running the 2 Friezas for turn 2, I decided to use a different Goten, another Saiyan that's probably quite underrated. Doesn't see as much play as some other cards. That's the set 3 Super Saiyan Goten. Sorry, set 4 even. I apologize. It's set 4 Super Saiyan Goten. So you can see that Trunks will be your potential other turn 3 play, either Broly or Trunks, giving you a 3 support. And then when you go to turn 4 or turn 3, if you have a Trunks in your chi, then you can actually play this Goten in turn 3 because of its effect. Basically, both Goten and Trunks will give you a 3 support value. And if for any reason you do need a head warrior where you just fuse into a Gotenks and problem solved, obviously that absolutely should be considered when you're running this deck. But yeah, both of these guys are in here for that 3 support value. That's really important because you do really have to scrape for good support Saiyans. Obviously, most Saiyans, they just want to go out and battle on their own and then get their asses handed to them. Except Bardock. Bardock is the only alien Saiyan that is pretty much straight up great for support if he's in healthy status. If he does get injured, though, he's going to be a really mediocre 3-0. But that's the case with all these guys. If they do get injured, then yeah, you do lose a lot of power. Obviously, it's really important to look at the techniques that we're using with this deck that should allow us to avoid those things from happening in the first place. But we do have, after a lot of consideration, these 3 Saiyans that are all 4-3. And what we're realistically looking at is that 3 support value that can give to the team. So if you get 2 of these down behind a Broly, you will have a team of 13, potentially a 14 if you are facing a team that also has a Saiyan in it, which is pretty neat. So these are the core when it comes to supporting these guys, and of course, very importantly, let's not forget about Frieza as well, because he is Frieza and technically Old Kai as well. He's only a 0-2. We use him very much for that effect that he has, but also absolutely a decent support warrior there. But the big 4 are Frieza, Bardock, Goten, and Trunks. They're going to be making significant contributions in making sure that the really powerful, very strong head warrior designed Saiyans can do what they want to do. And one of these guys will be Turles. Nappa, of course, is another option, or even Kid Goku from turn 0. Turles is just a no-brainer. Whilst we don't run many events in the deck, in fact, we only run a 3 of 1, a full play set of 1, which I think some of you might already be guessing what that might be. But again, we're just doubling down on the mill technique, the mill sort of game strategy with. We have Broly with that 1 Fierce on turn 3. Of course, every time you send Turles out to battle, your opponent must mill a card, which is really good. Obviously, that's attacking, that's blocking. They will always have to mill that 1 card. And of course, as I have been showing you at the beginning, the opening cards, Vegeta Super Saiyan from set 2 also has Fierce 2. He's a 7/2/6/1, extremely powerful, quite expensive though, with that double blue chi cost, double alien chi cost. And you do need to get a Dragon Ball on this guy as well, but absolutely worth it. Doesn't see a lot of play, of course, due to the set 5 Vegeta just being that bit better by allowing you to play those Vegeta techniques cheaper earlier, and the fact that he can look at your top 3 and probably grab a technique as well. Well, this guy is different. This guy is absolutely 100%. Let's win the battle. There are no shenanigans. Send me out there with the Dragon Ball. If I win a victory and an outstanding victory, I'm actually then going to give 1 damage to target warrior my opponent controls with return cost of 3 or less. So we're trying to maximize as much as we can out of that additional effect when he wins a victory. Now that can be scary from the get-go, so it's quite likely that your opponent might just allow the Vegeta to immediately go into planet damage. They're probably not going to be wanting to risk that damage, especially if they already have like injured warriors in one of the teams, because it doesn't have to be opposing. It's just any warrior opponent controls, turn cost 3 or less, which is absolutely fantastic. How are we going to benefit from this? Well, first of all, the immediate go-to card is Burning Attack. 3 of, and of course we do have Trunks in there as well for that additional card draw effect. But even if you don't get it off, that's fine. What's really important is to send that Burning Attack out. Don't worry about well, again, it's just showing you that multifunctionality that Burning Attack has, because you can obviously shoot it with Trunks during the action phase. Again, its target warrior opponent controls gets -2 turn cost and -2/-2. So you can shoot this against another team that another one of your teams is battling with potentially. Bring down a 5 turn cost warrior. Yeah, okay, you might take a loss there, but then you will be able to dish out a damage to it with the Vegeta if you can get Vegeta to win with. So these 2 cards are really great combo. We can also remove an event with this, potentially even draw a card if we use it with Trunks. But it's basically opening up this effect right here. Now we can take a turn 4, a turn 5 cost warrior down to turn 3, and because this lasts us until the end of the turn, then we'll be able to give it a damage with Vegeta Super Saiyan. So that's one of the nice little 2-card combos that we also have going on in this deck. I think what's also really important is when you're running Saiyans, you kind of want to be just no real questions asked. Just make sure that you get damage in. So we do run 3 copies of Jankengu. The more I play Jankengu, not just Jankengu, obviously you guys know how much I love Dirty Trick, but Jankengu is a straight up +2/+0 until the end of turn during the action phase. It costs you 1 super chi, but it replaces itself because you pay 1, but this goes to your chi, so it's almost like you haven't spent any money. And if you go first, you get your turn 3 guy down. Okay, you can't attack. Your opponent comes in, they attack. You can then Jankengu your turn 0 Goku, and now you've immediately injured their warrior, because likely many decks don't tend to run a turn 1 uh, pump technique. So that's where Jankengu shines. So now we got 6 pump techniques. Of course, 3 of them is burning attack, just really versatile. 3 Jankengu, and of course, no big surprise, 3 powerful heritage. One of the main reasons why anybody would run a pretty much full Saiyan deck. Um, you look at all your head warriors, any and every of your head warriors is a Saiyan. Again, Vegeta, Turles. You can get Gotenks out, Goku, Nappa, of course, and Broly. So I kind of guess if you want to put these guys in order, this is kind of like the order of 7, 6, 6, 4, 3. They all benefit from power. I mean, these guys are likely to be your lead warriors. But then again, if you end up with Bardock as lead warrior, Goten, Trunks, they will also be able to benefit from this power heritage. In fact, it can be a very good strategy. Like you send a second team out, and you got like a Bardock on the front, and opponent might be thinking, well, are you bluffing or what? Well, maybe you got 2 powerful heritage in your hand, one for your main team, one for the Bardock team, and you just OV your opponent. That +5 that a Saiyan gets from using that technique is literally taking you from a draw to an outstanding victory. So ridiculously good in this deck. Which is going out full out damage. There's no, straightforward and simple. Don't put a lot of strategy into it. Just get your Saiyans attacking and buff them with techniques. I haven't really finished yet because, of course, with the turn 6 Vegeta, mind you, you will have to wait for the next turn, but 2 Big Bang attacks from turn 7 onwards. This is another one of your big finishing techniques. Again, it works a little bit better with the turn 5 Vegeta, but the amount of damage that you can dish out with these 2 cards is ridiculous. You're very likely going to be able to win a battle if Vegeta will shoot a Big Bang attack. And again, you can use this as defender as well. It doesn't have an attacker or defender. It's just got action timing, so either player's action. You really want that Dragon Ball on Vegeta. That's one thing you got to be careful with, and not to lose that Dragon Ball. And ideally, if possible, only wish if it's absolutely necessary. If you get the 7 Dragon Balls, you're much better off keeping that Dragon Ball on the Vegeta. But anyway, if target opposing warrior has a turn cost of 4 or less, give 2 damage to it, otherwise give 1 damage to it. Guess where burning attack becomes yet again the threat. Because this will facilitate a Big Bang attack, basically being able to deal 2 damage to a turn 6 warrior, bringing it down to a turn 4 cost. You just got to make sure that you don't have toughness. Toughness is obviously going to reduce that 2 damage to 1. But there are head warriors that don't have toughness, like this Vegeta, for example, doesn't have toughness. Just as an example. Of course, deck wouldn't be a deck without Dignity of the Conqueror. This deck definitely needs it. I mean, it is an alien deck. Again, we have the old guy. If you can somehow get Dignity back into your hand with old guy, I've done that fairly recently, where I played DOTC, put it back in my deck with old guy. Then I played the Wish that shuffles all your discard back into your deck. Drew 3, one of them was DOTC, played it again. Just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. Because obviously it's a limit 1 per deck. And then finally, the big draw engine is, of course, UFO landing. If all your cards are pretty much Saiyans, then you do need to look at UFO landing. Realistically, except turn 2, every turn we can technically get a Saiyan out. Turn 0 can be Goku, turn 1 can be Nappa, turn 3 Broly, turn 4 Goten, turn 5 Turles, turn 6 Vegeta. So you got the lineup. If all goes well, by turn 4, you will be able to benefit from UFO landing. And probably whilst you get to turn 4, you're pretty much just going to be setting up anyway to have a good enough support for your big lead attacking Saiyans. So that's pretty much it. I think this is a very simple but just effective deck. Naturally, again, we got a couple of super rares. You can absolutely build this deck without Broly. Um, and you can absolutely build this deck with a different Vegeta. If you got Gallic Gun, you can replace the Big Bang attacks with Gallic Gun. They're not as effective, but they are live from turn 5. So that is at least something. And you can run pretty much any Vegeta, realistically. But this one I love because you get to just dish out so much damage whilst having these guys doing what they do, and burning attack just really opening up that turn cost restrictions as well on these cards. So this is it, guys. Thank you for joining me yet again for another Dragon Ball CCG deck profile. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment below. We do have a Dragon Ball CCG community. I will leave the Facebook group down in the comments below. Up until next time, guys. Bus Saiyan signing out. Peace.